uh, the it's a first because we actually have the same thing of the week.
Yep. Basically, I happened to watch this with a group of friends on Saturday, and then Daniel's like, I guess I should get around to watching that.
Yes. Our thing of the week is it's a movie that's we've been hearing about for about a year now. Everybody's been talking about it
Yep.
on at least on YouTube. It is a favorite of Chris Gore from Film Threats, which probably me saying that most people probably know which movie I'm talking about. Uh,
Yes. Like seriously, if you watched a Chris Gore stream or one of his appearances on Midnight's Edge for about like June of 2022 through December, at some
yeah.
point he would stop and say, "Go see RRR."
Yes. Yeah, so we finally watched RRR, and it is a wild movie.
Yes. So there's a couple of levels you can appreciate this on, and then there's a level where you find out some context and becomes slightly less fun because politics ruins everything.
Yes.
So let's talk about the fun side first.
Yeah.
All right. So our setting is India in the 1920s. You have, of course, you have people who are there who don't like the whole colonial thing
Hmm.
for for whatever reason. Man, I can't imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but the inciting incident is that a little girl is stolen from her family in one of the tribal areas,
Hmm.
and her brother, Beam here, is sent to get her back. While at the same time, you have what amounts to a British, or not British, but like he's a high caste Hindu uh, super cop working for the British,
Hmm.
and their unlikely friendship. And there's a pretty good number of twists and turns over the course of things, because, of course, he's Mr. Law and Order. Ramu here is Mr. Law and Order.
Yeah.
Beam is trying to get his sister back while lying about who he is. He's actually pretending to be a Muslim, which is why he's dressed the way he is in this picture here. But
Yeah, yeah.
they're bestest friends forever.
Yeah, because the scene here that we're looking at is there was a train derailment and a bunch of fire and oil spills into this river, and a kid gets caught in there, and so they work together to rescue the kid in very dramatic fashion.
Yes. So so outside of the plot is actually pretty good, just because it's got a lot of ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs,
Yeah.
in like the good way.
Hmm.
Um, it is just insane balls to the wall action.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, it sort of reminds me of it kind of reminds me of some of the Hong Kong movies, like
Yep.
kind of Jackie Chan esque stuff. Some of the way the action scenes go, you know, are done. It's just like, oh, okay, wow.
Yeah. It's like realism. Screw that noise.
Yeah.
Who possibly wants that? No, we're going to have these two guys. One's going to be riding a horse, one's going to be riding a motorcycle. They're going to both pick up a big rope, drive in opposite directions, swing off of this bridge like Spider Man
Right.
to get this kid out of the water.
Yeah, and of course the flag is meant to protect them from the fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are multiple scenes like this throughout the movie,
Yes.
including the most aggressive dance off I've ever seen.
Yes. Yeah. The not to dance. Yeah.
Yes. Like now an interesting thing. Daniel, did you happen to watch this with the subtitles turned on?
I didn't. No, I watched it dubbed.
Oh, hey, Chinggis. Yep,
Hey,
let's talk.
Chinggis.
Yeah, we both picked RRR as our thing of the week.
Yes. Yeah.
So, interesting thing. The subtitles and the verbal dub disagree with each other constantly.
Uh
Uh, Like,
okay.
like the most, and like it's weird because it's things that I don't even think that it's a matter of the lip sync
Hmm.
necessarily, but they'll just completely change things seemingly pointlessly. So, case
Hmm.
in point, in one scene in the English dub, they say, um, "Why fight?" I think it was like, "Why fight the rats when we can go cut the head off the snake?"
Hmm.
In the subtitles, it's, "Why fight the jackals when the lion is right over there?" I think it's
Uh,
completely different animal analogy for no apparent reason.
yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it subtitled then.
Yeah, it's interesting. The other thing that's interesting is that at first I thought this movie had a really awful dub
Hmm.
because Beam is constantly speaking in really broken English, right?
Right. Yeah.
I didn't quite catch on until very late in the movie. Oh, he's supposed to be speaking Telugu or Hindi or whatever else he's supposed to be speaking
Right.
with a bumpkin accent or not very well. But that was like
Okay.
an intentional choice
Uh,
because I was like, why is he like always broken? Because Ramu always sounds proper.
yeah. 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 And I think too, like Beam doesn't know how to read and write.
Right. It,
And Ramu, and of course, yeah, the scene they show the scenes a few times in Ramu's apartment. Like he's
mhm,
got stacks of books everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and this is like one of those things that would fly over the heads of most Americans is like, I'm pretty sure that Ramu here is high cased. So they don't know if that means he's soldier or priest or whatever.
Uh,
But I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be low cased because, he's living out in the jungle with his tribe. So I'm
yeah.
guessing that, yeah, that's why he's uneducated.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, Ramu. There's more to Ramu uh, than we're saying. We don't necessarily
Right.
want to spoil the movie.
Yeah, you can go watch it
Yeah.
on Netflix. It's
Yeah.
definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, it is. It sort of reminded me of like a lot of the epics from the 1960s, like Spartacus and Lawrence of
Mhm.
Arabia. It had that same kind of feel to it, um, but with over the top action.
Yes, just way more physically impossible action to throw at it.
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah,
If I had a critique, I feel like that it could have been about 20 minutes shorter,
hmm.
but I'm not sure exactly what to suggest cutting. But like I was kind of feeling that 3 hours length by the end of it.
I was too. Yeah,
Also, there was one scene that really confused my friends when we were watching it because I think that I was like with this movie more than they were a lot of the times, like where there was
yeah.
actually a flashback inside of a flashback.
Ah,
Like you remember when Ramu was in the middle of having his flashback that told what his deal was, and then
yeah.
his father has a flashback where he learned
Flashback.
about the value of a
Right.
gun,
Right. Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
cut back to the past before you go back to the present eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a little jarring. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah. It
and
makes me think of
what
that
yeah.
Chevy Chase movie where he had the farm, where his wife was sobbing after trying to read his novel. And there's a flashback inside of another flashback. Then you
Flashback.
flash forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, but yeah, I mean and of course what the other interesting thing too is the villain in the movie. I don't know if you recognized him. Um,
Colonel Sanders.
Colonel Sanders.
It turned well, it's the 11th spice was chutney all along. You got it.
Yes, yes. Uh, it was no, it was Ray Stevenson was the actor.
I know that name.
Yeah, he actually played Frank Castle in Punisher Warzone.
Oh, no, I did not recognize him.
Oh,
Wow, okay.
yeah. Well, if you didn't recognize
That's
him,
a
you
good
probably,
get.
yeah. Um, and the other thing too, I know you probably didn't recognize her, but his wife
Hmm.
was the blonde from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she went from playing an evil German to an evil Brit.
Yes.
Similar energy.
So, oh yeah, yeah,
Uh, Okay, so I think that covers the fun part of the movie,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's on a fun level. It's fun, and
Yes.
I would almost say stop watching right now if you don't want to learn real life context.
Yeah.
Because I had like an inkling of this because I know a little bit, like a teensy little bit about Indian politics.
Hmm.
Um, basically, Indian politics right now is dominated by the Hindu National Party,
Mm,
which, as their name implies, they are Hindu nationalists.
yeah.
You might have noticed in that last song and dance, it's like they were talking about how there was a champion in every alleyway, rise up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, kind of comes across a little bit, make India great again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, there's bits of that here. Somebody who knows more, I was reading, was talking about how there was like some cast, however you pronounce that stuff going on
Yeah.
with how the two main characters here are portrayed, because they're not physically inferior to each other, but Ramu gets the more interesting plot. He's more important technically,
Yeah.
and he's dressed like Ramayana from the Indian epic, who is a avatar of Vishnu.
Ah. Okay.
So
Uh,
like the only Muslims in the movie are the tribals who are pretending to be Muslims as part of their cover.
Yeah. Yeah. Cengiz says, still a banger of a song. Yeah, it's a good
Oh,
song.
it is.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it knocks the fun level down slightly.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing, part of it too, and with these two guys is, and I know and I actually looked it up. The director of the movie stated that he wanted to, unapologetically show a friendship between two men, which I don't have a problem with at all.
No, that's actually really refreshing.
Yeah. And what was what's interesting is that they had a what they have to have like a couple of scenes in there where what Red Letter Media would call the not gays.
Yes, they both have a love interest.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Ramu's got a fiance, and then Beam, he fancies the niece of the bad guy in the yeah.
Which I did think that was very interesting. Where if this movie has Indian nationalist overtones, to have him have the hots for a white woman,
Yeah.
which I don't know if that's because they're both very loosely based on real historical figures who may have never actually met each other in real life.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe real life Beam actually married a or dated a British woman. That's not
It's possible.
impossible.
It's not yeah, it's not yeah, it's I mean it could have happened, but
Yeah. The way I'll put it is I've done enough research to realize there's a couple of unsettling things, but not enough to be an expert.
yeah. Yeah.
But crushing reality context aside, it's just a rollicking good ride.
Yes, it is. It's the kind of movie Hollywood used to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what's also interesting is that the reviewer who was talking about some of that unfortunate context, um,
Mm.
he said, "Well, it's not that unusual in Indian cinema," which tells me I need to watch more Indian cinema because that tells me there's all sorts of insane action movies that we are just not aware of.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've seen this clip on YouTube, and I don't know what movie it's from, but they're like they pull a palm tree back like a catapult, and they put a
Yeah.
guy on top, and they shoot him over.
Live action Looney Tunes nonsense.
Yes.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. But but yeah, it's I mean I echo a lot of what DB is saying. I mean, if you've got 3 hours in your day to watch this movie, I would definitely give it a watch.
Yep. It's especially great with friends because you're just going to go, "Oh man!" Like,
Yeah.
I'll say they did a great job establishing Ramu here in the first
Mhm.
scene because his first action scene is amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is. It's like yeah, like it's like a Hong Kong, a fights
Yeah.
action fight scene kind of thing. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yep. Speaking of awesome things or not awesome